Did you know that the average car built these days has more lines of code in it than anything else you use in your day-to-day life? And even an F-16 fighter jet. My name's Sammy, and I do computer repair here locally in Nevada County. And I'm here to talk with you guys about how important it is to question everything around us and where we're going in this ever more connected world. So I started doing computer repair locally in Nevada County about 4 years ago, of course, right before the pandemic hit. And over the last 4 years, I've seen more and more of what was repairable not become unrepairable due to Apple not allowing distributors to actually sell bare parts like displays. Good luck finding a display for your MacBook Pro or MacBook that's been made in the last 5+ years, because you can't. LG won't sell you the display, and neither will Samsung. And that starts a really interesting conversation that I think is not getting proper discussion, which is, why can't we buy this thing, but we don't really own it? And that goes for most everything that we use, at least on the technology side, from logging into Facebook to logging into your iCloud account. You don't own your iCloud account besides the contract that says, oh, this account belongs to you, but say you break terms of service with Apple. Well, say you bought $15,000 worth of software and movies and shows and whatnot on iTunes. Well, it's gone in an instant. And there was actually a gentleman that lost.
Yeah, right.
Lost his $15,000 Apple account because he broke some nebulous terms of service from Apple. And boom, there it goes. All gone.
Do you know what he broke?
No idea.
But the point is...
But the point being...
You don't own it.
You don't own it.
Yeah.
And same with Sony. You buy a movie on your PlayStation, you think you own it because it says buy in the big word, buy. You may as well have an exclamation point. But if you look into Sony's terms of service, you don't own that. You own a license to use that, to view that content, as long as it is hosted and licensed to Sony. And recently, not entirely sure what the series of the TV series was, but it just got delisted. And anybody who spent the, $39.99 to buy 5 seasons or whatnot, it's gone.
When you say delisted, what do you mean?
So they lost, or they were no longer allowed to host that content. But
you mean like a platform, an online platform?
So basically, like when a show goes off of Netflix. With Netflix, it's one thing. You're paying a subscription to get what's on the platform at that one time. But with, buying a movie or show through your PlayStation or Xbox, or going on Amazon and buying a movie on Amazon's digital storefront for watching digitally, you don't actually own that. You own the right to watch that as long as that...
for a certain period of time.
Yeah, as long as it's available on that platform. But as soon as it's not, boop, there it goes.
Okay.
And
this is all coming from your perspective, which is essentially a computer repair technician.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and tech support.
And you've been in the business for about 4 years?
4 or 5 years, and
so you're
tinkering for...
Yeah, for eons.
Yeah.
28 eons.
Just about.
So you have a lot of experience. You're understanding probably more than the average person what's going on in the world as far as technology is concerned.
To an extent.
Yeah.
I'm no coder, but if you got a software bug, something's not opening right, or your computer won't turn on, give me a call.
And how many lines of coding in a modern day car?
So as of 2013, the average higher end vehicle had 100 million lines of code,
Wow.
which was more than Mac OS, more than Microsoft Office Suite, more than Windows. And
Mac OS sounds like a new product. Kidding. Oh, Mac OS. Okay. Sorry.
so they seem to try and reinvent it every couple of years, but it's still the same thing underneath.
Yeah. Okay.
But with the rise of electric vehicles and what Tesla has labeled as self-driving, full self-driving at that, which is actually not anywhere near. It's more along the lines of lane correction and stopping at a stoplight for you. But God forbid there's a
We've all watched videos.
Can.
We've all watched videos on that, right?
Yep. I was behind a Tesla the other day, and there was a trash can next to the intersection, and I'm not positive if they had self-driving on, but the Tesla would go forward about 2 feet and then completely stop, and then 2 feet, completely stop. It was freaked out about that trash can.
They would allow self-driving in the mountainous area like here? Are you kidding?
I certainly hope not, but just like Uber, going into new cities where it was not allowed for them to open shop, they went by the motto of do it first and then beg forgiveness. And that seems to be what technology companies, from Apple to Facebook to Google to, all of them, is they live by this motto of move fast and break shit. But with a car, you can't move fast and break shit without killing a couple people.
Oh, okay.
And that's where we're getting to the real issue, which is we have these companies that are larger than any company ever before them. Microsoft, Google, Apple, NVIDIA, and they're massive. And just like, last week we had, or actually earlier this week, we had an issue where CrowdStrike, they uploaded a patch or over-the-air update. So they updated, tens of thousands of computers, if not hundreds of thousands, and it had a bug in it. And it was not a bug that they could do what they do best, which is remotely monitor and track threat actors.
Secure things.
Yeah, secure
Right?
things. But when your thing that is at the lowest level of the computer is broken, then you've got 3 out of 4 of the major airlines in the United States shut down. Banks, 911 call centers. We've got, name it. Self-checkout stands at Walmart, where you just got the blue screen of death, the Windows blue screen of death, and you can't restart it. You can't fix the issue without somebody on site.
After you told me about this, I just went online quickly and I just glanced at a few articles that said 8 million people or servers or whatever affected.
Yeah, and that's, that's where we are, is that we're so connected from, our security company or our communication company, be it Facebook or Google, however you communicate with people. If you're doing it digitally, you have no control over that. And the way that the U.S. government sees it, it's called the third-party doctrine, where if you submit a document or you put something into your email, you do anything that is bringing a file from your computer and or your phone or what be it, and you put it onto the internet, you connect it to the World Wide Web, you have no no assumption of privacy for that file or for that message or whatever it is. You have no assumption of privacy for that. And that's a really dangerous standard, because what if you're uploading your tax paperwork to the IRS? Do I not have any assumption of that being a private upload that only the IRS will see?
Right.
Right. And we forget how little control we have over our online life. And, there's, of course, reasons people use for, oh, yes, we should have iCloud scan all of your files to make sure that there's nothing, what's now, the new term is CSAM, which is basically footage of minors in compromising positions. And Apple actually shut down this was Google. Shut down somebody's Google account because it was a father sending the doctor, his son's doctor, a picture that was near his genitals, and his account got terminated, even though it was from the father to a medical professional that asked for that specific picture.
It got flagged, and there was no accountability.
No.
Of course.
And we are,
and no recourse.
Yeah, you have no recourse. And I know you guys are watching this on YouTube, and YouTube is, in all honesty, sort of the best at this, because first off, if you're not paying for the service, and in YouTube's case, you're watching ads, so you are the service for them watching the ads to pay for what you're watching, plus to pay them a little extra. And that's why they've been cracking down on ad blockers over the last year and a half or so.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so, and that goes for everything. Facebook. You're not paying for Facebook. You are the payment to Facebook. Your data. Your
Right.
data is worth more than, $9.99 a month to them. And we have sort of been lulled into this false sense of security when it comes to our data. We think, oh, I uploaded that to my private Google Photos and my iCloud. Nobody will ever see that.
That's interesting.
Well,
I never thought of, I'm always trying to make sure I don't pay fees and
Yep.
still be able to use the service, but actually they're like, ha ha ha.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting one, and we like Gmail. Your Gmail is being used for training data for AI in certain cases, and same with YouTube videos. Google has actually gotten into some hot water recently by using YouTube videos, which it is clearly stated in the YouTube terms of service that you cannot use YouTube videos as AI training data.
Mm-hmm.
Yet YouTube is doing it themselves, along with numerous other companies.
So I have a question. After you a couple of days ago, I hired you to work on my old computer, which is about 10 years old now, because I'm having trouble editing these videos. It's like I don't have, it's just slow and lagging. So you found a new computer a higher end computer, and then in that process, you were telling me about what was it you were telling me about?
So one of the things that we were talking about, one thing that I've noticed over the last 2-3 years or so, I've had a good number of clients that had bought what they thought were pretty good machines for, $800-900. And within a year and a half, they were already a hunk of junk. The display cracked, or the hinges on the laptop just busted right out. And the sad reality is that HP, Lenovo, Dell, they they use metal nuts molded into the plastic for the hinges. And, plastic and metal don't actually go together very well.
It's like, hello.
Yeah. So if your cat lays on your keyboard and rolls back onto the screen, your hinges might pop out. And then that's, $150 for a new chassis, depending on the model.
So the bottom line is you were saying that the companies are just purposely pumping out product that they know will break in a year's time.
Yeah, just
and
like
not
with
really caring.
printers. I mean, you buy a printer, you don't expect that thing to last more than a year unless you haven't bought a printer in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And everything has become so disposable with tech. Your phone. How many of you know somebody that upgrades their phone every 6 to 12 months because they either think that the battery life is getting worse, or they want the new model for the new cameras, or this or that, or they want one that folds and theirs doesn't fold, and you're going to need a new display pretty soon for those.
Right.
But I feel like at the consumer level, we've gotten to a point where unless you're spending $1,200 or so, you're going to get sort of a piece of crap that you're going to need to buy another one in a year.
Right.
Maybe 2 if you're lucky. And so what I did for Daryl here is I found a really nice Dell Latitude, it was a Dell 5540, which was an insanely high-end laptop 3 years ago. And so now the main consumer of those laptops was large businesses. If you had
built with
office,
integrity.
Yeah,
built with integrity.
Built to last.
Right.
Aluminum frame, still just about as light as a plastic frame laptop, but not a piece of shit that's going to die on you, that the hinges are going to break off.
And if you don't believe it, go to Target or another retailer and see if you can bend. Twist it.
Just pick one up, close the lid, and twist it.
On the low end
it'll
models.
go about an inch either way.
Right.
Not what you want to see.
Yeah.
If your car did that, you would take it back.
Cars
immediately.
Do that.
Yeah. Hopefully not while you're driving it.
Right.
Or not when you're not hitting something.
I know what I was going to ask you. What's the company, Cyber, or the one that had the recent, a couple of days ago? What's it?
CloudStrike.
CloudStrike. Do you after we?
God, it's Crowd or Cloud
or Crowdfund? Crowdfund. No. So after you told me about that incident, I wasn't paying attention to the news, and I was talking to a friend after that, and we were wondering, like, well, was that intentional? Were they testing what would happen? So what do you think?
I think that there's enough, bad actors, so to speak, that are testing that for them. I think that...
And where is F Society in all this?
Exactly.
Go ahead. We'll bleep that out. We'll bleep it out. Yeah.
So I think that, in a lot of ways, their whole user base is their test.
Yeah.
They don't have somebody in the back room testing to make sure that updates aren't going to break things.
Right.
They roll it out and
they test it on all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Lovely.
And that seems to be the case with more and more, like with Google releasing their Gemini AI search tool that was honestly horrifically trained on Reddit data. Reddit posts. So you type in, do cockroaches crawl in your penis? And it'll tell you, oh yes, the average man has 6 to 10 cockroaches crawl up his penis every night. That's where the name cockroach came from. Turns out it came from a Reddit post. So when you're taking what should be a reliable service, a Google search or, but you're training it on data that, in all honesty, is mostly shit posts. It's just people, there is good data, but then there's also bad data. And AI does not know what the difference is.
And a lot of it. A lot of bad data.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything is predicated on marketing.
Oh, yeah. And that's, that's why NVIDIA's stock price went through the roof in the last 6 months. I mean, that's why so much growth in tech stocks has just gone through the roof in the last couple months, 6 to 12 months. And we are relying on AI. I know I've had met people and seen people that, it's not, I'll Google it, it's all LLM it. Sorry, LLM it. Which, if you're using a large language model as your sole source of information, you should probably stop doing that. Because, I was telling Daryl the other day, both large language models and generally AI models, they're a black box. You put all this stuff in, think of it as like a bucket. You put, 10,000 pieces of paper into a bucket, you encase it in cement, and then it spews out, answers. You ask it questions and it spews out answers. You don't know what page of those papers it was taken from. It's closer...
Or context.
Yeah, or context.
Yeah.
Modern, ChatGPT is closer to predictive text than it is what we would consider AI.
Which is so interesting because the human communication amongst humans, it's so important about the context.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you tell me, I don't know, I crushed my car the other day with no context whatsoever. Well, are you at fault or was the other person? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
I mean, that might
context is, so key.
In fact, it's so out of context.
Yeah, exactly.
How about that? Continue.
I got home yesterday and, my car was gone, but where did it go? It's, we leave so many things to the imagination with AI and with, we're no longer thinking about where that answer came from.
Yeah.
We're thinking about, oh, that's an answer.
Right.
And so many people, we really, now more than ever, in the age of ChatGPT, large language models, and just generally AI, but, anybody can slap AI on their product and it becomes true in the eye of shareholders.
Is this a big race?
It is.
Essentially.
It's the 21st century space race.
Yeah.
And I think that more than anything, if we're not cautious, a lot more is going to break than is going to get fixed.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you could cite a few more personal examples of how all this is affecting maybe some of your clients, and where are we headed? What are the implications of where we're headed?
So, one thing that actually a friend of mine has been using a mushroom identifying app.
Okay.
Don't do that. Unless unless there's nothing that looks, if you're going to eat it, don't use an app.
Especially if you're going to eat it. Oh, man.
And if I had, let's see. I had one client that said that she was using ChatGPT for recipes.
Okay.
Which, if it's pulling from reliable sources, that could be good. But, you ask it how to make strong cleaning solution, it might tell you to put
mix kryptonite with
Ajax and bleach.
Right.
That's great, but we're living in a world where we've disconnected the human from the technology, and that split has gotten bigger and bigger. Like if you go on YouTube and you search any topic really. I guarantee that in the top 10 or top 20 is going to be an AI voiced or visualized video.
Is this what you mean by disconnecting the human from AI? Because you would think that the whole idea is to connect human to a tool.
Mm-hmm. And, now I feel like I go on YouTube and on the start page, on the main page, the home page, I feel like at least 1 in 5 is AI garbage. And you don't catch it until it mispronounces something.
Right.
Or it says, let's see, what was...
I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm pretty keen on that. I've watched that. Okay, wait a minute. This isn't right.
We might be able to catch it now, but wait a couple years and you won't
be able to.
And that's where, I feel like we do need regulation, but, who in Congress or in the court of law actually knows much of anything?
Right, yeah.
Because if you watch...
Laptop? What's a laptop?
Yeah. What's a CPU? What's RAM? I've got a RAM at home. I drove it here. But we're just like with cryptocurrency regulation. We didn't get it until it was too late. Until hundreds of thousands of people lost everything in the crash of FTX. Or, in SafeMoon, or what, insert crypto scam here. There's more than there...
Yeah.
More scams than there are not. But with AI and with, our personal data, that's not something that we can wait around for politicians to figure out what the hell it is. And that brings me to my next topic, which is you will own nothing and you will like it.
I was just going to ask you to talk about this.
Yeah. I got a little ahead.
Great minds think alike.
Yep. And that really is the case these days. If you're a farmer and you own a John Deere tractor made in the last 10 years, do you have to call up John Deere every time it breaks down? Every time you need your brakes replaced? You do.
Wow, really?
So imagine you've got a crop that's ready to harvest. Something goes wrong on your John Deere tractor. You've got to call up the John Deere tractor repair guy, the certified repair guy, because you cannot do it yourself.
Wow.
And say they're booked out for 10 days because it's harvest season. Well, there goes your crop. There goes your, however much of the year worth of money.
Yeah.
And that spans sort of our entire electronic life, from your phone, your laptop, your TV, all the way to your car.
Yeah. And I was going to say, just interject right there, because on my mind, I won't disclose the type of work that I'm doing, but I come in contact with people, and they always, so many of them now are conveying or sharing the fact that the car is controlling their life.
Oh, yeah.
In different ways than, like them being able to control it.
Yeah. Like I was, about a year ago, I was driving a friend's, what was that? A newer car, and it had lane correction. And it wanted to keep me right in dead center of the lane. And I was passing a semi-truck on Highway 80, and lo and behold, it wants me right, like with my mirror against the semi-truck, because it wants me right in the middle of the lane. I had to, in 5 seconds, figure out how to turn off lane correction and get away from the semi-truck, because I hate, I'd rather be, riding the center divider than up against a semi-truck. They got enough stress as is. Yeah. And your phone, you want to replace your phone's battery. Well, the screen's glued in, and you got to take that out to get to the battery. And
warranty voided.
Yeah. Actually, that's another thing I wanted to touch on, which is that, have you ever seen the warranty void if remove stickers? I can guarantee you have, because they're still around, yet they've been illegal for more than 40 years. And that actually gets pretty close to the heart of my main issues, which is, warranty void if remove stickers have been illegal for 40 years, but did manufacturers stop putting them on? No. Look at the back of any graphics card on the screw. Look at you open up a laptop, you'll see them. And the fact of the matter is that they're illegal. Yet it keeps people that full well know how to repair their own device from doing just that.
Which comes to what you really would like to talk about too, right?
Yeah, which is, I feel like, we are ever more connected, yet so disconnected from what keeps us connected. Our phones, our laptops, or whatever it is. And most people see them as this black box, as this, unknown entity, but they use it every day. And in a lot of ways, that's how it's designed. I mean, you ask Google, or sorry, that's not a good example. You ask Microsoft if you can modify Windows. No, you can't. It's our copyrighted work. You ask Apple if you can jailbreak your iPhone. No, you can't. It's our copyrighted work. But then if you go back and you ask Apple, can I replace the fan in my laptop? No, you can't, because that's our copyrighted work. And that is one of the biggest hurdles for right to repair and for us to actually own the device that we bought, because we don't. According to them, we don't own anything that we bought that has their intellectual property in it, their software or their custom semiconductor or whatnot. But even replacing the fan is frowned upon. And in a lot of ways, fan's not a great example, but with newer iPhones, if you replace the screen, the display, with even an original Apple one, it will not work with Face ID, because you did not swap over this tiny chip, like smaller than your pinky nail, actually quite a bit smaller. And unless you do that, Face ID will never work on that phone again.
Wow.
And same with, the original Apple will never work again trick was the fingerprint reader on the iPhone 5S. If you tore the home button cable and you had to replace it with another one, that fingerprint would never scan again, because it was basically coded just for that phone, that one fingerprint scanner for that one phone. And they've gone full force with that for the last 10 plus years since the release of the 5S.
Are these companies considering this as a temporary license for everything, that you don't see it as us owning it? So is it again back to a temporary license to watch a video, temporary license to have a computer, or
more along the lines of you own the phone, but you can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
You can turn it on, you can install your applications, you can make phone calls, you can check your email, but as soon as you open the device up, that's no longer acceptable, and they will no longer support it.
I remember just a few short years ago, I could open up my phone and pull the battery out.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. No, the
Not anymore.
removable battery, the replaceable batteries. That's a thing of the past, sadly. Which,
Yeah.
Same with the headphone jack. Look at most any phone. Go into a Verizon or a Best Buy or an AT&T store, and look at all the cell phones they have on display. You might find one or two headphone jacks in the whole place.
Really?
And it's...
You mean, are you saying most phones are sold without a headphone jack now?
almost all new model phones do not have a headphone jack.
And why is that?
Save on cost. And, the originator was Apple, and the main reason was, now we can sell you these $200 AirPods that you didn't need before. But they work on Bluetooth, and they don't have a wire. So, we created the problem, we created the solution.
But what about people who want to jog with their phone and they want to...
Well, you got to use the Bluetooth.
Oh, Bluetooth.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Okay.
That's all you got.
Yeah.
Or you can use a little USB to headphone jack adapter. But then, you stick your phone in your pocket and you snap the adapter off.
Yeah.
And I feel like at this point with technology, we have more technology around us than ever. Our phones, smart light bulbs, smart fridges, smart insert home appliance here. But what is actually smart about it? What is actually useful about it beyond, I can see what's in my refrigerator while I'm at the grocery store?
Well, it's smart for the companies because it's tracking every little move, right?
And that's the name of the game is data.
Yeah.
Your data is worth more than your purchase in a lot of cases. Like, have you noticed that almost any TV you see at a store is a smart TV? And how drastically low prices on TVs have gotten?
Right. They want you to buy it.
That's because, if you look at the remote, there's a Netflix button, there's a Hulu button, they're all paid promotions. Netflix paid to be on that remote. Hulu paid to be on that remote. TikTok paid to be pre-installed on your Samsung
It's like
TV.
marketing in your hand.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't think of that. But do you think most people don't give a damn anymore, or do you think, or even think about that?
So I think that that's part of how we got here in the first place, is convenience
over being aware,
over being, over privacy, over security, over, not seeing ads, over basically everything. Convenience has won the war, not just the battle, the war. And convenience is a double-edged sword, because at a certain point, what was convenient may no longer be useful. If say your internet goes out and all the light bulbs in your house are smart light bulbs, well, they could potentially just start flashing depending on the model, because they don't have network connection. They don't know what they're supposed to do. And same with, smart clocks, smart speakers, they're bricks without internet. And say Comcast goes out or AT&T goes out, so you don't have internet at home. Well, then all of those devices are just, in some cases, a lot less useful, and in other cases, absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And, it's great to be able to check, the temperature of your house on your phone when you're 1,000 miles away or whatnot. But is that worth the heat not coming on when there's, a network blackout?
Right. Yeah.
Is that worth the issues that arise from?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a societal question, not
exactly.
not just an individual.
And we keep connecting more and more to the internet that never was. Like, I believe it was the Mustang Mach-E, electric Mustang, had a software update, I believe, within the first 6 months of it being released. And it basically killed the car until they rolled out another update. And you didn't choose, oh, I want to update my car's software. They just updated it. And again, with CrowdStrike, like, what the fuck are we doing? We can't have these companies have control like that. Yet we hand it over willingly for convenience without even thinking about questioning it. And same with, Gmail. You're handing over the holding of your emails to a company that their whole job, their whole main business is advertising.
Wait a minute. Is Gmail reading my emails? Really?
Maybe a little bit.
Oh, man. I didn't know that. I didn't.
But it's like, if you ever got an email through Gmail and then started seeing Google ads for similar things,
Really?
It's...
I can just think that stuff now, and then I'll go.
Yep.
It'll show up on my feed.
Well,
know?
there was a...
I haven't had an implant yet.
Yep.
Not that I know of.
There was a news report a couple of years ago where this dad of a teenage daughter got in the mail. Target had sent her specifically maternity clothes and whatnot. It suggested in their email, like email marketing, and the dad was like, "What the fuck? My daughter's not pregnant. We're not pregnant. What are they talking?" Turned out she was pregnant.
Oh,
and
no.
Target and the advertisers knew before they did.
Wow.
So,
And Daddy was upset, huh?
Yup.
Oh, man, to find out that way.
We're getting to the point where, we don't know things, these companies, these data-driven companies know things before any of us do.
And just remember, there's no accountability and there's no recourse. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there as a,
No, there really isn't. It's like Google getting slapped with, a $5 million fine here or there, but, that's nothing.
Yeah. Oh, we make that in 5 minutes.
It's like, it may as well just be a little bit added tax to their, their corporate taxes that they barely pay.
You okay? So you've talked a little bit about right to repair.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you become aware that this was an issue? And also, I wanted to ask you, back up even further, when you were in diapers, and like, just what was your childhood like growing up? Like, how But yeah, the right to repair, because that's important for you.
Yeah. So to start with right to repair, I noticed it. A friend of mine around 2015 or 2016, got a MacBook Pro, and the RAM soldered in. The RAM soldered on, and then so you can't replace it, you can't upgrade it, and then the solid state drive, the boot where Mac OS was proprietary. You could not put a standard solid state drive in there. And there was no reason for that. It wasn't a faster drive. It wasn't, a longer living drive. It was just, we wanted to put the proprietary drive in there so that you couldn't just buy the lowest storage model and upgrade.
Okay.
And that sort of mindset is, I think, so destructive, not just for the consumer, but even more so for sustainability. It's like Apple talks this big talk about, we recycle 40%, or whatever the hell their statistics are. But then if you lose your phone, you lock it with iCloud lock, or you call your cell carrier up, they lock it. You can't ever activate that phone again. Or you get locked out of your laptop and it's got full drive encryption. You could if you can't pull that storage out physically, that laptop is dead. And
right.
So
there's a total disregard for personal data. I mean, like,
oh yeah,
retrieving your data.
Yeah, no, I mean, and especially now with Microsoft with Windows 11.
Or is it an issue of being able to recover your data?
Yeah, it is. So with Windows 11, Microsoft is enabling BitLocker, which is their full drive encryption. They're enabling that by default. So on any, you buy a Dell, you buy an HP, whatnot, it is defaulted to have full drive encryption. So if you do what I usually do, which is work around the Microsoft login for the computer, and you forget the password you used, good luck. You're never getting into that drive again.
Wow.
Because you need the BitLocker recovery key, which if you signed in with a Microsoft account, that's fine. You just go to their website and you get it and you type it in.
Yeah.
But if not, you're screwed. All that data is gone forever.
Wow.
Unless you got a quantum computer in your backyard, you're not cracking that. And it feels like a complete and utter disregard for the user. It used to be that you'd buy a product from a company and you'd use it and it would be yours and you could do whatever you wanted with it. But now you can't. In a lot of cases, you can't. There still are great companies that make amazing computers and amazing phones, and you can work on them. They're easy to work on. Framework, for instance, on the laptop front, you can upgrade every single part in that with a single screwdriver.
Wow, yeah.
But they're a small company, so their laptops are decently more expensive than anyone else at that performance level.
It's interesting, the conundrum of, I mentioned this off camera a couple of days ago, the conundrum of you as a computer repair technician / whatever, the rest of it, and the sentiment that you have where it's coming across as, I don't know if it's disenchanted, based on what you're experiencing with your clients and your personal life. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but it's interesting to see that clash.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I've got a true love for technology and for computers, and but we're getting to the point where I almost can't recommend somebody buys a new laptop or buys a pre-built desktop. It's like, when we're at the point where, for instance, I set up a Dell pre-built desktop, it just comes out of the box and it's all working, that came with Windows 11, and my client wanted Windows 10 on it. Well, sorry, Dell won't let you install Windows 10.
You can't downgrade, huh?
You cannot.
Oh.
The firmware will not let you. They will make sure that it's Windows 11, and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
So when we're at the point where, you can't even install the operating system you want on the computer that you paid, good money for.
Is everything still based on DOS?
No, we switched.
I lost track of that.
I believe we. Oh God, this is one that
I really revealed my ignorance there, but.
We're on the NT kernel, I believe.
Whatever that is.
See, this is the yeah. Now Daryl's got me where I don't know. But we've disconnected from our technology. You know, there's an intermediary party, which is Microsoft or Apple or whatnot. You know, you sort of hand over the keys to your device to these companies, especially in Apple's case, where, you know, you spend $2,000 on a laptop, but you can't work on it.
Yeah.
And if you try to, they'll void your warranty regardless. Like, you replace your MacBook Pro's batteries have been glued in for the last 6+ years.
Wow.
Actually, more like 8 at this point. And, you know what gets battery glue out? Acetone, which, you know, Apple wouldn't be so happy about. But it was you guys that glued them in, so. But then now shifting over to how I sort of got started.
What was your childhood like? Yeah.
So I grew up in Berkeley till I was about 15, and then we moved up here. I'm really glad we did when we did. But I grew up with my mom in a little one-bedroom cottage, rent-controlled cottage in sort of the Berkeley foothills. $550 up until we moved, which, I mean, as soon as we moved out, it went up to, I think it was $3,200 was the first person that moved in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but my earliest memory of working on computers, or not actually working on them, but just taking them apart, my mom was, what was it? Her father got her a Mac desktop for Christmas. Well, both of us. It was a gift to both of us for Christmas one year. And I took her old desktop apart, all the way apart in the yard. So all the parts were all over the grass, and it was a giant mess.
You're like, Mommy, look what I did.
Yeah,
oh,
there's probably some pieces still in the grass. But then for a couple of years, you know, she wound up like finding different, you know, in free boxes and whatnot, different electronics for me to take apart.
Oh, okay.
So I would just take them apart.
So she was encouraging
yeah,
it. Yeah.
I wouldn't put them back together at that point, but I'd take them apart. I was damn good at taking them apart. Putting them back together, not so much yet. But then, I believe it was about 2009, I bought all the parts to build a desktop, and I got it all put together, you know, everything was working okay, and I go to install Windows, not knowing the difference between 32-bit and 64-bit.
Oh, yeah.
So I wound up calling it was one of the college students at UC Berkeley, to come help me. He wound up charging me $75 an hour for 2 hours, and burned a copy of Windows 7 64-bit, but then the power button, he got the power button stuck, and the power supply was on 240 volt, so for like Europe, instead of 120 for the US. So when the power button got stuck, it shorted out the positive and negative wires from the motherboard to the power button, and wound up melting those two wires together all the way down to the motherboard.
Wow. And
that was sort of the catalyst for me to really get into computers. Okay. I was like, well, I just wasted $150 on this dumbass that didn't fix it. He wound up almost killing the computer. Luckily, it was salvageable. But that really lit a fire under me, and I would, you know, look at thrift stores and look, you know, all over the place, look on Craigslist for PC parts and, you know, just build stuff.
Oh my gosh,
I could build computers for a couple of years.
Yeah, I could see it.
No, oh God, you should have seen my room. Oh God, don't we're not going there. It's still a mess.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can I go see a room now?
More computer parts than
Yeah.
anything else.
Oh my gosh.
But that sort of tinkering has always been my love. I've built and modified, and for a little while, actually more than a little while, I would see how much performance I could get out of them.
Yeah.
Overclocking was quite an adventure.
Nice. What were you good at in school? What were your favorite subjects?
History.
History.
Was not good at math. Not so. Yeah, history was the one that I actually really got into, but I didn't ever do very well. I'm not great at school in general.
Maybe you were just bored.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
bored and unable to stay on the subject because I was bored.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. Math, that's boring. Well, plus they wanted me to show my work in Algebra 1, so I was in Algebra 1 for about 3.5 years because I was doing it all in my head, you know. To hell with writing it out. Like, I already got the answer. What are you talking about?
Oh, and they didn't believe it, right?
No. And I was like, okay, Mr. whatever his name was, come here, stand right there, give me a problem, and I'll do it. And the dickhead wouldn't even let me do that. I showed him, like, brand new problem. No,
You could do this in your head?
no change.
Oh my god.
So now I don't know much of any math. But school has always been a hard one for me. I had a pretty hard time in middle school and not a great time in high school. Had some really great friends, but
Was it social?
yeah,
Social things? Or?
I've always felt sort of like an outcast, even if that's not the case. It's always been hard for me to truly feel like I'm fitting in. And it's been a long journey.
Have you watched the video I posted about Mary?
Yeah.
Breaking through loneliness?
Yeah.
Same,
no, it was
the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, her story really, really hit home. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's one thing to have friendships and friendships and people that, you know, consider themselves your friend, but it's a different thing to let that really be true for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's always been the hard part. I always feel like I fall short in that regard.
Okay.
And then it somewhat shuts me down. But I feel like over the last 3-4 years, I've really, really found my place in a way that I had never before.
Through your work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the one thing that I actually feel like I know how to do, or that I feel comfortable saying that I know how to do.
Okay.
And it's been really great meeting all of my clients, and I do on-site work, so I come to the client and either at home or work, you know, if it's a business client, and get it fixed then and there most of the time, especially if it's software.
It seems like you found your calling, which has helped you to. It helps to open doors for you to interact with people, get to know them, build rapport, and it's probably much easier that way for you. And I have to say, I can relate in a way because sometimes, and maybe you can relate to this. Sometimes I feel that there's a certain modesty that I try to keep in place so that my relationships and my interactions are true.
Yeah.
and they're they're built on as genuine as a person that I can be and share with people. And if I feel like I can't, then maybe that can shut somebody down. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying it the right way, but and it's not necessarily an insecurity as much as it is a quality.
Yeah.
That hey, I want to remain genuine. But I haven't figured out how to do it. And I imagine a lot of kids, not that I'm calling you a kid, but a lot of young people are like going through that too, even adults as well.
Oh yeah. Now I feel like now more than ever,
how to connect.
How do we connect? And especially with the ever dwindling supply of third places. The first place being home, second place being work. What's our third place? It used to be, the coffee shop, the bar, the local community center or whatnot. But those spaces are shrinking faster and faster every year. And it feels like there's an ever shrinking sense of community. Our community is online for most people.
Yeah.
But that's not an in-person community, not the community in your town or your city or the people on your block. And it feels like, we're ever connected to people through social media, through messaging applications, through, this or that, but not face to face. And that's one thing that I've really, really loved and really appreciate about this job is that I get to meet all different people. People that I never would have met otherwise. And made friendships from that in some cases. And, really it's such a great part of the job because I'm not great at going out and, like tonight is hot summer night, so a little sort of street fair in Nevada City, but that's not what I like doing anymore. I feel awkward at things like that these days, and have for quite some time. But I almost get something better every day that I'm working because I'm meeting new people and getting to both help them, but also get to know them.
We're going to lose our battery here in a second, but maybe. But yeah, thank you, Sammy. I'm glad I met you and am having you on my side as far as technology is concerned.
Same here.
Yeah, thank you again. And I can see the batteries like, any second. But I think for the most part, you were conveying what is important. Maybe the last closing statement might be, we should all be careful and pay attention to where we're headed.
Oh, yeah.
Into the future. And
we really, now more than ever, we need to question everything around us, especially when it comes to technology. We can't take, that Facebook post with Jesus as a prawn as gospel because it's AI generated, and if you don't see that, you should keep questioning things until you do. And I really, really loved being here. And
thank you.
Thank you, Daryl, for having me on.
Yeah,
and
I wasn't sure if it was going to happen, but the more we talked about it, it's like, yes,
it works.
I was so looking forward to this. Yeah. Thank you again, Sammy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
it was a pleasure being here.
Yeah, I'm glad that we've connected.
Me too.